In the 1970s, the early push for greener building practices was built on a moral argument, the idea that we should protect the planet because it was the right thing to do. That idealism led to green architecture being treated as a public relations exercise, where corporations installed visible solar panels or bamboo flooring primarily to boost their public image. That version of sustainability, based on soft metrics and aesthetic branding, is now essentially obsolete in today's commercial construction market. Modern developers specify green materials to protect the balance sheet from quantifiable professional liabilities. This shift was driven by a wave of aggressive, legally binding limits on embodied carbon, the total emissions generated by manufacturing and transporting building materials. Under state codes like California's Title 24, carbon tracking has become a legal requirement. If a project exceeds the carbon threshold, the state denies the building permit. In New York City, Local Law 97 subjects buildings with high carbon materials to multi-million-dollar fines. Real estate investors call these stranded assets, properties that become financially toxic because they are too carbon-heavy to sell to institutional buyers. The only viable defense against these regulations is third-party data, specifically Environmental Product Declarations, or EPDs. These documents act as audit labels detailing a material's exact carbon footprint. For modern project teams, a lack of verified carbon data represents an existential financial and legal threat. This raises a central question. Who is actually choosing what our buildings are made of, and what is their personal motivation? It's commonly assumed the architect of record chooses sustainable finishes to lower the building's environmental impact. In reality, the architect is managing professional risk. They specify low VOC and non-toxic materials to avoid sick building syndrome lawsuits and toxic tort litigation that could threaten their licensure. Verified EPDs serve as a legal shield, proving the architect met all current compliance standards and effectively shifting liability away from the design firm. For the specifier, a sustainable material is only valuable if it is legally defensible. Further down the chain, we find the financial gatekeepers, the quantity surveyors and asset managers who control the project's purchasing power. These roles focus on the long-term life cycle rather than the first cost, the cheapest upfront price. Whole life costing data proves that paying a premium for sustainable materials yields a higher net present value over 30 years. These gatekeepers integrate strict carbon accounting, ensuring emissions stay safely underneath regulatory caps to protect property value for investors. They approve green purchases to guarantee the asset remains liquid when it's time to sell. Finally, we reach the execution tier, the subcontractors who sign purchase orders and physically install the materials. Operating on thin margins, subcontractors choose materials based on schedule speed and crew ergonomics. A framing crew will enthusiastically buy a sustainable drywall if it's lighter and easier to cut. Lightweight boards reduce worker injuries and speed up the installation. The sustainability of the product is effectively a bonus for their own labor productivity. On the job site, sustainable materials are adopted because they solve immediate, expensive problems like safety and speed. Despite everyone having selfish reasons to buy verified green materials, these transactions often fail to happen. The industry suffers from a friction of discovery, where innovative, low-carbon suppliers are hidden from the architects and managers who need them. This comparison of material platforms shows the missing link. In the rushed value engineering phase, sustainable choices are often cut because buyers lack a tool that provides instant, verified EPD data alongside competitive pricing. Without a system to bridge this gap, the most convenient legacy supplier wins the contract, regardless of the carbon cost. Resolution comes from digital interceptors, tools that inject live compliance and EPD data directly into the architect's primary design software. While the 3D model is built, the software automatically swaps out high-carbon choices for verified alternatives before professional liability is locked into the specs. This workflow connects the architect directly to the supplier's verified data. It eliminates greenwashing claims by focusing strictly on the hard metrics required to minimize compliance liability. By treating sustainability as a function of risk mitigation, the industry has finally aligned financial self-interest with planetary health. Data now protects both.